Hello everybody, today we're doing a video for GTA Car Kits in a 2015 Porsche 911, and today we're going to be showing you how to install our module to enable Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. As you can see, the radio has the module already installed and it's working wirelessly with this iPhone, and you're able to control the CarPlay with the original controls, and it's also touchscreen, so you can control it like this. And if you want to come back to your original system, you just hold the navigation button and it switches over, so nothing gets disabled. You just get an extra function which you didn't have before. And now we're gonna go ahead and show you how to install this module. So the tools you're gonna need: some sort of panel removal tool, a flathead screwdriver, T25 Torx, and this is another type of panel removal tool. So we're gonna start with our panel removal tool, and we're gonna go ahead and remove these two side panels. So up until this point they clip from the side, and then you gotta pull it towards the back, just like that. And here's the clip that sometimes likes to stay there, so in case it does, just remove it. Now we're gonna do the same for the other side, and we're gonna pull towards ourselves. As I said, this is the clip that I was talking about. It likes to stay back, so just take it out, and when you're gonna be putting everything back, this clip will go in first. Now we're gonna take our T25 and we're gonna remove two bolts on each side of the radio. Once the bolts are removed, we're gonna turn on the accessory position in order to move the gear selector down in order so we can pull out the radio. And we're gonna go ahead and cover the center console so we don't scratch anything. Carefully remove the radio, just like that. And we're gonna tilt it on its side, and again make sure that there's nothing in the way. So now we're gonna go ahead and unplug the connections here, and first we're gonna disconnect the main harness to the radio, put it to the side. And now we're gonna go ahead and remove these antenna connections, and there's some more here, so we're just gonna be clicking on the clips, and we can use our flathead screwdriver. So now we disconnected all the connections and the radio can come out, and now we're gonna show you how to install the module inside this radio. So this is the radio that we removed. So in the kit you're also gonna get this motherboard or module which you have to put inside the radio, and it's gonna come with these screw extenders and this video cable. So we're gonna use our T8 Torx, and we're gonna first remove the face of the radio, and we're also gonna need this kind of hook panel removal tool. There's two bolts on the top and two bolts at the bottom, so we're gonna go ahead and remove them right now. So we're gonna flip the radio over, and there's two more here. Once you do that, we're gonna put the radio on the side. We're gonna release the bottom first, and because the top is clicked in, and there's gonna be two clips on each side. So we're just gonna kind of press these clips and start separating the face from the body of the actual radio, and same on this side. And once the clips are released, you can kind of unhook the faceplate. You're gonna see here there's two video cables. So now we're gonna take our panel removal tool. We're gonna pop these cable connections. So now we can release the panel. Next, we have three bolts here at the back. We're gonna go ahead and remove them. Now that they're removed, we have to separate the stereo, and to do that, you have to slide it back. Over here, it's gonna, on both sides, it's gonna release and come out. As you can see, there's slots. We're gonna take our same tool, and we're gonna release this cable. Now here, we're gonna again use our screwdriver, and we're gonna remove three bolts. So we're gonna remove this one. This car is equipped with XM, so it's a little tight on space here, but if your car doesn't have XM, it's gonna be a little bit easier. So then this is the second bolt, and then there's a third one right here, down there below. So once we remove them, we're gonna take our gold bolt extenders and we're gonna screw them in into the same slots that we just removed those 3 bolts from. So take your time, don't rush. Just like that. So now we're gonna take our module. So it has 2 cables, and these are the cables that we're gonna plug in into the face of the radio. So pretty much it has to go into the original slot. We're gonna lightly tighten the original bolts that we just removed. Like I mentioned, this car has XM, so and there's a connection for XM here, so you can't really over tighten this, so tighten it gently. So now we're gonna take our original cables, the ones we disconnected from the face of the radio, and we're gonna plug them in. We have to feed the video cable out to the back of the radio, so there's no really open slots. So we're gonna undo the XM radio antenna, just like that. We're gonna take our cable, we're just gonna feed it through. We're just gonna leave it like this, and you can still plug in your XM, and it's fine that it's a little loose. And then we're gonna take our video cable and we're gonna plug it in here. You gotta make sure that this face that is a closed plastic is facing down, and there where you can see the wires and their connections, it has to face up. Plug it in to our motherboard, just like that. We're gonna neatly plug the cable in. So now we're gonna take this portion of the radio and we have to connect it back to the original connection that is down there below. So it's a little tricky. You gotta make sure that you can straighten out the cable, and I'm gonna put it in. Then we're gonna use our tool to lock both sides in, just like that. And at this point, you can take the top portion of the radio and you can tuck the cables in underneath here. And we're gonna slide it just like that, and it clicks in. So now we have 2 cables here, nothing sticking out here. And at this point we're gonna go ahead and put these 3 bolts back. We're gonna go ahead and connect the front of the radio back. So again, we're gonna make sure to release these locks. So we're gonna take our cables and plug them in, just like that. And then we're gonna lock the locks. Same with this one. And also use our tool to lock the locks. So now once they're connected, you can assemble the radio back into one piece, because it has these hooks that have to hook onto the body of the radio. So that's the ones we're gonna make sure that line up. Once they do, we're gonna press on the front of the radio, and now we're gonna go ahead and put the 2 bolts on top and 2 bolts at the bottom. And you're gonna end up with 1 extra screw here, and this is from the one from this antenna. So in order not to lose it, we suggest to put it in back to its original hole. So now at this point we can go ahead and put the radio back inside the car. So now that we completed the installation of the module inside the radio, now we're going to continue connecting everything inside the car. So we're going to first take our hook tool, which we showed you earlier, and we're going to get to the original connection here, and we're going to undo this clip here and remove this orange connection. This is for your audio, so it's very important that you transfer over this connection. So now we're gonna take our harness that comes with our kit. So one side goes to your radio and one side goes inside your original connection. So we're gonna take the side that goes to the original connection. You gotta make sure that the clip is open, and then you're gonna lock it in to make sure it's all the way inside. We're gonna take the audio connection and we're gonna plug it in to our harness right here. So we're gonna plug it in to the outer, so there's two slots you can plug it in. You gotta plug it into the outer slot, and you gotta make sure that this piece with the little clip sticking out is towards the bottom, and it clicks in. We're gonna take our auxiliary cable that comes with the kit and we're gonna connect it to one side of the harness. This is the one closer to the radio. Then we're gonna take the other side of the auxiliary and plug it in to the other side. This is side which is gonna plug into the module. We have to run these cables to the side of the radio and underneath the steering wheel, because we're gonna hide the module under the steering wheel closer to the left. Cables that we're running, this is to connect the module, this is to connect the power, and the auxiliary cable that we just plugged in. And we're gonna first grab it underneath the steering wheel. Now we have these cables under the steering wheel, which is good. So here we have our radio, and this is the video cable that we showed you earlier how to wire inside your original stereo. So we also have to run it under the steering wheel, so we're gonna go ahead and do that right now. Now we have it here. Now we're gonna again put the car to accessory position to move the gear selector down in order to give us space to start doing the connections to the stereo. So we're gonna carefully put it sideways here, and first we're gonna plug in our main harness. Again, like the other connection, it has to be semi-open when you put it in. Just like that, it clips in. And now we're just gonna be doing the connections that we removed in the beginning of this video. It's a little bit hard to see here. So now that we have all the connections plugged into the radio, we're gonna start putting the radio back. So once the radio is in and the cables are under the steering wheel, we're gonna go ahead and put the 4 bolts back. So under the steering wheel now our goal is to get these cables routed further. So we're just gonna drop them behind here. Here we go. So now we have all the cables closer to the door like we were mentioning earlier. So first we're gonna open up the fuse box here. And we're gonna take our wire with the fuse, pull back the carpet here, and now we're gonna plug in the fuse into the first open empty slot right here, just like that. And you can kind of tuck the wire in, and at this point you can close the fuse box to see here. So now we're gonna take our module. First we're gonna attach the Wi-Fi antenna, then we're gonna take our video cable which we fed to the back of the stereo, and we're gonna plug it into the LCD out connection. Now we're gonna take the main power harness to the module and I'm gonna connect it. Next we're also gonna take this cable for the USB. So we're gonna feed this cable under this panel and pull it through. And same thing, we're gonna put it over the airbag and to the back, and we're gonna plug it into the CPU USB connection, so it's on the other side close to the antenna. The last part would be to connect our microphone. So there's the microphone slot on this side, and for this particular car we're gonna keep the microphone hidden underneath here. The microphone is used to control Siri or Google Assistant, so if you don't use those, you don't really have to wire it. So once you have everything connected to the module, we first have to calibrate the touchscreen on the radio with the module. So to do that, we're gonna set the dip switch number 2 to on. We're gonna go ahead and turn on the radio and test it. So once you turn on the radio for the first time, since installing the module, you're gonna get the screen with these pluses, and as I said, the dip switch has to be switched to number 2 on, and you're just gonna click these yellow plus signs, and it's gonna do that a few times. And it's gonna say okay. Once you've done that, we're gonna go ahead and this module, we're gonna set the dip switch number 2 to off position, and we're gonna reset the module by pressing the red button there. And at this point you can kind of start hiding the module, so you can use cable ties to make all these wires nice and neat. And we're gonna be sticking the module closer to the door, and you can also use zip ties in order to keep it safe in place without it having to move around. So once you put the module away, now we're gonna just reinstall the side panels here. So this one had the clip stay on, so we're just gonna install it like that. So here we also wired that USB, which you have to make sure is not in the way and it's kind of sticking out. Once you stuck it in, now we're gonna do the other side. The other side, the clip stayed in, so when you're putting it back, we're gonna first put the clip back like that. And push it in, and once it's in at the front, we're gonna do the sides. So now we're gonna test the system. We have our lightning cable plugged into the USB connection. We have our source for the audio chosen as auxiliary. This auxiliary connector also comes with our kit, and you have to plug it in to the original auxiliary connection here in the glove box, just like that. So now we're gonna take our iPhone and we're gonna connect it, and it starts charging. As you can see, it switched automatically to CarPlay. So it's all touchscreen here. So you can go make sure to test. The most important is of course the sound. As you can hear, it's playing now. You can check waves. Once you make sure that everything is working properly, the installation is complete. So again, this was a video for GTA Car Kits in a 2015 Porsche Carrera. I hope you liked the video, and we'll see you next time.